Hi, I'm Kelly, and if you haven't been watching my videos, you should know that I have keratoconus, and it was pretty advanced in my right eye and like moderately advanced in my left, and I just recently got a corneal transplant in my right eye, and will be later getting cross-linking in my left. And if you have been watching my videos, I'm sorry that this is so late, but this is the video that just describes what happened on my 1 week follow-up appointment. So I've jotted down some talking points and I will mark them off as I go, just because it was so long ago. And if you have any questions on topics that I didn't cover, if you're curious about, please feel free to leave a comment down below and ask me. I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. So I will start off by talking about when I first got in there and they first took out my bandage contacts. And it was not bad. I will say I was a little bit freaked out about them taking the bandage contact out. Not that I have ever had any problem putting contacts in my eyes or taking them out. You know, it was just a really kind of fresh surgery, so I was afraid that they'd like poke me or something. So they put numbing drops in my eye and then they took it out with a gloved hand, and that was fine. It didn't hurt or anything, but I became aware of my eyelid, I guess you would say, because I was saying before that like I became aware of my eye, but like my eye had all the pain that had already been associated with it really, but my eye just kind of became aware of my eyelid. So that was a little bit uncomfortable, and as time went on during that day, and I think a couple days afterwards, it was it was just uncomfortable. It made it itchy, and as I've mentioned in my videos about keratoconus, like you really should not rub your eyes, and especially after a transplant. That's part of the reason we have, you know, why keratoconus happens. So, they took out the bandage contact first, and then they checked my vision. And the day after my surgery, they checked my vision, and it had already improved a little bit. I was able to see 2 letters on the eye chart when I had not been able to see any at all. So this next week, I was kind of like hoping I'd see a lot more, but in reality, I was only able to see 1 more letter, but that's still a big improvement. So I was able to see 3 letters on the eye chart instead of only, well, 2 was a huge improvement. I was able to see 3 instead of none. So that was great, although even though I was hoping for more, I was being a little bit overly ambitious. Let's see here. I was actually able to, if you watch my other videos, I was pretty disgusted with post-op restrictions. I wasn't able to shower for a week, and that was pretty gross. It was just kind of hard not being able to follow my daily routine. So after a week, they said I was able to get water in my eye after that bandage contact had been out, and that was good. That was great. I just wasn't able to get like a ton in my eye. I just still had to be careful. And in fact, recently I got soap in my eye and it kind of stung a little bit. So, I mean, it's always stings. It's kind of stupid, but it stung more than it usually did. It kind of just stayed in my eye more than it usually did. Alright. I also, while I was there, sorry, that probably makes really obnoxious. So while I was there, I also asked about exercise because I was curious if I could do an elliptical trainer because I know I'm not able to lift over 20 pounds, and I don't know if that rule still stands. I haven't been carrying, well, I mean, I've cheated a little bit every once in a while, but I haven't been carrying over 20 pounds, so next time I go in a couple weeks, I will ask about that. But they said I could do an elliptical trainer. I haven't done it yet. I got caught up with the holidays, but I will let you know how that goes once I start up again. But, okay. So, I don't know if I told you about this, but after, like, during that week, I started noticing that without my contacts, my vision was really, really clear. And, I mean, up close is not the best, but it's actually improving. I'm noticing now that it's actually improving, more so than I last recalled for being up close. But yeah, so my vision is pretty good, but the problem is my prescription on my glasses is way too high for it now. So we asked about glasses, and they said that since my vision will continue to get better and the full healing process will be 6 to 8 months, and until then we won't really know how to correct them properly, my eye properly. That's not really an option to do anything in the interim, but they said they can do like a fake lens on my right eye if it's really becoming bothersome. So maybe next time I go in, I will ask about that. It's not really getting bothersome, but I don't really see how it could be great for my eyes. Okay, so that was that. But that's great news that like I can see pretty clearly. Like I can see my face on the camera, and before that wasn't really a possibility. What else here? Okay, so after a week I changed from the ointment to a drop, and I hadn't briefed on that because I hadn't changed over yet. So it is much easier to take the drop. I can take it with me wherever I need to go and just, drop it in my eye, compared to the ointment, which was really messy and gross. And they say to just like squeeze it into your eye, but I was afraid I was going to poke my eye, so I'd have to like put it on my finger and then put it in my eye. So the drop is a lot easier. I did manage to switch from like the 2 and 8 schedule that I was on to a 6 and 12 schedule. But I have to be honest, it's been like getting up in the morning is not that hard, which is really funny because I've always been a night person, but I've found it kind of hard to stay up until midnight to take my meds. And I think it's actually because I have to wake up in the middle of the night. Well, it's 6 a.m., but that's kind of early for me, to be honest. So it's because I have to wake up at 6 a.m. and stay up until 12. So really, my sleep cycle is interrupted at 6 hours of sleep. So it's still low. Yeah, I changed from the ointment to a drop. Oh, so I didn't say this because I had recorded before, but my pain levels had been so low that after the last video I shot, I went to like a Pacers game the next night and was able to do just fine. Okay, so I've been pretty compliant with the eye patch and the medication. There have been a couple times where I've been like an hour or two late with the medication, but I try not to be. And with the eye patch, I had been wearing it. I have spent a few days without it. I've been a little bit bad with that, but that's mostly so I don't rub my eye, and I haven't really had much irritation with it. But I should put that back at night. I think my biggest problem with the eye patch, which I didn't say in my other videos, was that the tape started kind of abrading my skin around my eyes, and that really kind of hurt. Okay. And last but not least is just it's just like my feelings after surgery and my feelings after after I have had the surgery. So as I said in my very first 2 videos, I think it was the second one, is before the surgery, I was worried that I would lose a sense of my identity. And that is a little bit true. I mean, I have like worries from time to time that like when I get back to sculpture and all that, that I won't be as good, or I'll only be just as good, and I won't really have that excuse for not being as good as someone else. And I think that's just part of my personality and my perfectionism, but I feel like um I don't know, it's hard to describe. I feel like maybe my keratoconus has hindered my learning. So like now that I'm out of school and I've got that removed, I don't have the excuse for having a hindered um, education in sculpture or hindered artistic eye anymore. So I don't know. And I really related my art to my keratoconus and have trouble kind of detaching that from my keratoconus. But I figure like once I get back into it, which needs to happen soon, it's just I need to ask about if I can do that with all the dust and heavy lifting. Um, but I feel like when I get back into that and I re-identify with it, I'll feel a lot better. But I think my biggest struggle with losing my identity was how I connected my keratoconus with my sculpture and my artwork. So that's that. Maybe I've told people about this before, and I don't want to talk about this too long because this is pretty long already. Um, but I've talked about this before, and people don't quite understand it. And I think right now I just had an epiphany. I think it's because I connected my disease with my artwork, with my product. Um, so yeah. And then lastly, just thoughts on driving. I know that soon I'll probably be getting back to driving lessons and stuff, but I am still scared to death. I am still scared to death. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure once I get, my left eye stabilized and contacts and glasses for my right eye, I'll feel a little bit better and, be willing to do it more. It's just, I'm still a little bit scared, and I think it's because I've gone so long without driving. Like, again, that's just been like an integral part of my life, just not being able to drive. So the change is just going to be a little bit scary for me. So, anyway, that was deep and personal, but I think that those are feelings that people with, keratoconus, whether it's as advanced as mine is, or it's just, maybe only slightly impacting your life, can kind of relate to that. All right, so I'm going to get going because this video is past the limit without edits. So I will say goodbye for now, and when I go back in a week or two, I will fill you in then. And I promise this time I will be good about uploading video and talking about it right after. All right, bye. Okay, just to add another little tidbit that I forgot about. So when I started noticing that my vision was better in my right eye, give me a second here. Like, things are actually clearer in my right eye at a distance than they are in my left. However, things are better close up, although it's not getting there. Like, still, actually, it's getting to where this one's better close up too. I started noticing that this one's kind of become the bad eye, and it's kind of made me want another transplant. But I know that that wasn't really ever in the cards, and I know that my left eye wasn't really ever as advanced, but I just realized like how much it changes my vision, and like it's amazing. But for what's good for you is that you guys will get to experience what it is for me, like what's it like for me to have cross-linking, and that will be a good reference for people who don't have quite as advanced keratoconus as I do and who would be fine with just getting cross-linking. So, yeah.